Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat. And welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evans. Good to be back with y'all today. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, Gale. Good to see you, Brayherd Lord. And Gale, congratulations on winning the crown of First and Dumb. I had a funny joke prepared for this. What was it? Wow, I should write these down sometime. Apparently you have the crown of forgetfulness. I'm sorry, but it's yours now, so it's your problem. Anyway, we're going to be diving back into some more Minecraft today. Working on the Opera House, so let's go ahead, let's get to it. And 29 month sub. 29 months and the jokes are gone. That's it. 29 months and you're out of jokes. You're age 305 on the squat rack. That's awesome. Congrats, Brayherd. Okay, so I went ahead, I made a bunch of white concrete. Not enough to complete it, but I think the main thing I want to do first is finish this hallway, and then just finish up this main wall, do some carpeting. Want to get up there if I can. Already have ADHD. I don't need more forgetfulness. Hey, Mel, good to see ya. That's a good thing you didn't win the crown today, then. It actually kind of bugs me that I can't remember what joke I came up with, because that was only a few minutes ago. It was something opera related. It happens. It does. It does indeed happen. Just happens more frequently than I would wish sometimes. These are just temporary, because we'll hang the lanterns in here. This is just to keep surprise zombies or creepers from appearing. Although, given the layout of everything, I think they'd be pretty limited. I think this one actually needs to be up by one because it's... And this one needs to be up by one as well. Because then there's the 3 sets of 2 that all line up with their respective heights. See, that's what I didn't want to have happen. There are no skeletons allowed in the opera. Name me an opera with a skeleton in it, sir. No? Didn't think so. If you have skeletons in the pews, you may need even more outreach. Well, they can be in the... Well, actually, that church doesn't have any pews over there. And this is an opera house. And I dare say, skeletons are not patrons of the arts. Also good to see you, Zangief. Need more ticket sales then. Well, if the skeletons carried gold, I would sell them a ticket, but as they do not, they're a bunch of freeloaders. So where are the windows on the stairs? Okay. So it's a 3x3. Then it's a 3x3 and a 3x3. Okay. Oh, I need the bone blocks for that. Actually running low on bone blocks. Fortunately, there are many more in the nether. Part of the reason is I wound up turning more into white dye than I really needed, but... C'est la vie. So it's those 3. So I need the bone blocks there, there, and there. Is that right? That is right. This. One of your favorite events each year is the Major City Symphony's Christmas special. Really enjoyed the classic carols and hearing 100 people sing them. Yeah, those kind of events are always great. And that's why you are a supporter of the arts. There you go. I think everyone should be a supporter of the arts in at least a small way like that. I like to consider myself a supporter of the arts by having a membership at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, better known as the Met. Unlike those freeloading skeletons. Dang it, there is another window up there. Okay, so there should be... Okay. This should be a pretty easy fix. Did I make the top of that one? Okay, I did make the top of that one bone. I don't really go much for modded Minecraft, but dang do I love Optifine. Yep, so that'll be striped quartz. Or what am I planning for the roof line? Good question. So right now, I'll show this in spectator mode. This is the top of the roof line. And the main plan is that we will have a copper dome over the center of the theater seating area. And we'll allow that to verdigris. And then we'll have two smaller domes kind of on each side, as well as a large skylight for the foyer. Do I need this here? I do need that there. Okay. Gonna have to seal that up. Yeah, I'm building this entirely in survival asterisks because I do use viewer mode or whatever to get around, but that's just more a matter of convenience. I'm not generating any blocks. Everything is mined naturally. Okay, I think that's all of that lined up. How do you build domes? I just kind of wing it. So I use a circle generator chart. So like for this one, like I just counted out how wide it was. I think it's like 26, 28, something like that. And I just went with what is the circle, drew that out at the base, and then over each cross section did that same pattern. So essentially I have the 3 intersecting circles, and then I just start filling in layer by layer and just kind of do what feels natural and looks good. It's not the best dome, I'll admit. I've seen better, but that's my style. All materials in mind. Yes, this was built entirely in survival. We spent a lot of time growing birch so we could have stripped birch logs be the flying buttresses. I like Minecraft. Need to figure out what I want to do in the corners here. The most obnoxious part is getting all the quartz. That's just time consuming. And that's a repeat pattern of mine. I always pick builds where I'm like, and this will be the palette. And I always pick something that's just, like, really hard to get your hands on. Thank you. Oh, look, more white concrete just lying around. Well, we're going to need more quartz eventually anyway. So I'm going to throw that into pillars. So I can start filling in certain sections. Let's grab some lanterns and some chains. I have not tried speedrunning. I've done some Skyblock stuff on my own. I think my biggest problem with Skyblock stuff, though, is a lot of it's relying very heavily on mods like Tinkerers, or something like that. Or Create, where it's just like, okay, well, in order to make this one thing, there's now all these extra steps. And it's just like, that's not my speed. I'm not saying it's bad, just it's not for me. So that will be all striped all the way up. This one. See, what I'm kind of thinking is, what if I just had this corner section just be solid? Like, I think it might provide some juxtaposition, and I kind of like the idea because it would actually add a lot of weight to the higher portion of the wall, and sort of be contraposed to the lightness of the lower section where it's all just glass. So I think that's just what I'm going to do. have it kind of like that. Minecraft never really did it for you? Hey, that's fair. I've been playing it since it came out in 2009. I'm also going to extend this all the way up, and that might actually even be where the dome... it might be too small to do the dome, actually, at that size. But yeah, these are going to extend all the way up to the ceiling. So we're going to have to annoy more bees. Right now, that's too tall now. Oh yeah, I just made it one too tall. That's easy. So that's, I don't hate that from the outside, but I don't know how I feel about it on the inside. I might wind up putting in some windows. This is why you prototype. Tests. But anyways, alpha version, your response was meh, don't get it. This will never take off. You were certainly right about it, about it not taking off portion. It's too big. Yeah, it's gonna have to be something else. Two, three. Four, 5, 6, and 7. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Weird sentinels of windows. Two, 3, 4, 5, 7. I want to double check that I have a window on the matching side. I do. Okay. That's what I thought, but always good to check before you start placing your blocks. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this is a kind of a null space in the building. It's not going to be accessible from anywhere. But I think for aesthetics and everything, I would still like it to be to have windows. So they can just line up with the windows down here. This is the long window at the very end. Yep. And I'll put some... Maybe I shouldn't put lanterns in here, because then I could trap enemy mobs in here. It would just look silly. It's probably my last... Oh, no, I have way more concrete than I thought I did. I still don't have a ton, but... Out of curiosity, oh, yeah, I totally forgot to look into Stray Gods. I knew there was something my brain wanted to do. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Okay. There we go. Another thing we're probably going to have to do today is go get more red pigment for the carpet. Is it possible to make tinted glass? Yes. In fact, you can see it here in the Basilica of the Church. But I chose... There's kind of this sort of mid-century modern plainness that I'm going for with this one, so that's why it's all, like, whites and grays. And no colored glass. Like, I want the carpet to really be a main pop of color, and that's why I like incorporating the copper as well, because it also has a reddish hue. Here we go. It's coming together. Not you. Let's go do the other side now. Transit system in your city is nothing but brutalist architecture, not your fave, you know, but it's a thing. Yeah, I'm not usually a fan of brutalist, but there are some exceptions, like Washington, D.C. The subway system there is brutalist, and maybe that's where you are, I don't know. But I actually quite like the subway stations there. I think that's an appropriate place to use a brutalist aesthetic. But by and large, I'm usually not a fan of brutalism. You've been to DC, and those stations are nicer than your cities. I wish the New York stations would be cleaned up physically. I know there's obviously a lot of talk of, like, cleaning them up in the more proverbial sense, but I'd like to see the mosaic work that's already there be cleaned up and be more visible, because there's a lot of just really beautiful little mosaics. You're right, those trains to get to church, but your whole section is above ground, so you don't see the brutalism. Yeah, it's just the downtown. We are rapidly approaching having to actually do the, do the roof. That's actually pretty exciting. Love New York City transit system for the simple fact it's functional. Yeah, most days. It has its days. It was built intentionally on dysfunctionality. Ah, I can think of several cities that describes. You would quickly narrow down. Yeah, no, and I totally get not wanting to share where you are. That you totally have that right. No need to No need to dox yourself in chat. Oh no, I'm out of glass panes. I must descend in shame. Oh, descended too far. This is beyond the scope of the discussion. That's also fair. That'll probably be enough for now. How many furnaces do you have going for the glass? Currently none. I have 6 furnaces that I kind of lug around for my various projects. Maybe it's 8? No, it's 6. And I left those going for quite a while one day to make like several stacks worth. But right now the furnaces are sleeping. I'm a terrible industrialist. I'm not constantly burning things. Yep. It's 6. What else was I going to look for? I was going to look for diorite slabs. There we go. So I believe I need to fill in... That section's filled in. Is it this one over here? Yeah. Still need to redesign these stairs. Need to put stairs on this side. So that's where those lanterns go. Oh, I'm gonna have to fix that. That will bug me even if I can't see it. You love Factorio? Nice. Can I play it? Tesla doesn't just hit strong. Valid. I love Factorio, though. Oh, the factory must grow. I've only streamed it a little bit. Hey, Neko Spy! Welcome on in, Raiders. Hope y'all are doing well. Spy Raid. Thank you, Gail. I don't want to put any lanterns here because it's performance space, but... Oh, also I decided we're going to need a stage door, so I made one. Opera House is looking great. Thank you! How'd the rest of the sensor go? How do I ensure that I'm building things symmetrically? Just a lot of counting. Part of it is I tend to decide whether it's the building is even or odd, and then I define the center point pretty early on, and just work off of that, sort of like keeping it in mind of like, hey, well, that's nice. So like, I know that the stage door is center. I know that the center of the stage is center. So it's just kind of like, if I know part A is centered, then I know I can use part B to determine that as well. I'm gonna need more spruce. Go. Some dirt. Thank you so much, Zangief. Send a screenshot of Discord. Nice, I'll check that out. Boom. Stage door. Now the whole thing is accessible from the back rooms. Okay, so I think next... Your opera has to connect to the back rooms. Endless hallways. I'm going to have to think on this on the corner. It's going to have to be something, but the thing that annoys me is just because of the way everything lines up. This part's 5 wide and this part's 6 wide. So they're not... briefly here, the lurking hectic. I'm sorry to hear that, Sub-Zero. I hope things get better. Meanwhile, Rotata. Today, the gospel opens with the classic line of John 3:16. God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. A line that I think is very well known, especially thanks to the efforts of some guy at baseball games. But that line is particularly placed in the midst of John's prologue of talking so much about how he views the world and kind of the juxtaposition of the fallenness of the world and the goodness of God. And it's precisely to a fallen world that God loves and sends his son and continues to love us in the midst of, our humanness, not in spite of. Who told Johnny he could devote 3 chapters to a prologue? Well, I don't know if part 3 counts as part of the prologue at that point, because traditionally the prologue is the just the first chapter. The son was with the father, all that. But it's part of the early section. Okay, we're gonna go on a couple little adventures. One because we're gonna need more calcite, and one because we're gonna need more red dye. And I could fly there, but let's do it the old-fashioned way. Why not? Gonna lurk for a bit. Hey, that's all good. Totally understand. Hope you have a great rest of your day, Neko. Go get some food. Just submitted your PhD dissertation. Hey, that's awesome. Congratulations. That is huge. You don't have to tell us exactly what the dissertation is on, because I know that can get very deep. But what's the general field? This goes to crashing out. You didn't crash out though. You made it. Now all you have to do is defend it. But to be honest, in modern American academia, defending is really more of a honorific than a necessary thing. Doctorate of Law! Hey, that's awesome. That ain't easy stuff. Congratulations. No, chat, I will not sue someone for you. Well, I haven't passed the bar, but I'll sue someone for you, chat. I bet my rates are really cheap. Are you going to win? No. Well, congratulations again, and I think you have earned the opportunity to put your feet up for a bit. What do you mean? What do you mean you would be the best lawyer to ever enter court? I respect your country. I'm trying to think now of my favorite fictional lawyer. Elle Woods? Ooh, yes. If I actually needed a fictional... If I were in some bizarre world where I was forced to choose a fictional lawyer to represent me, Elle. Oh, Legally Blonde. I know Hans from The Simpsons has an actually astounding high rate of success. That's actually impressive considering how he's usually portrayed. Some lawyers go get JCL and work on annulments. Why? Because they want all to have the same misery the divorce lawyers have to deal with. They just don't want to get paid very much. I actually know a non-insignificant amount of canon lawyers who also have a legal, like a secular legal degree. That just sounds like way too much studying for me. Thank goodness I don't need an advanced degree to play Minecraft. Sorry, this is an odd question. Hey, not an odd question at all. How did I end up becoming a priest doing a Twitch stream? Yes, that's a great question, actually. So I was leaving one ministry assignment, and my next one hadn't been decided yet. And I was invited to just write up some proposals of things I might like to do. And, you know, there was no guarantee that any of them would happen, but, you know, I do enjoy media, and I had been fairly connected to Twitch and its culture, and it was just like, you know, what if we explored that and did that as a ministry? So I wound up writing a proposal, and, you know, I still sometimes have the feeling of like, they accepted it? Did they read the part where I say I play video games? But no, actually one of my fellow priest brothers supported it and invited me to be a part of his ministry team at Busted Halo. So I've got to do this now for 2.5-ish years. And it's been a blast. It's a great place to sort of look at the intersection of faith and gaming, and especially like narratives that get told in games. And just, it's been really fun to help be a part of a community. And I think it's pretty neat. Again, there is that part of me that sometimes I'm doing this and I'm like, my now boss and the president of my religious order both read this proposal and know what I'm doing. And they know it involves video games. And they still said yes. Am I sure I'm not just dreaming? Literally applied for PhD course the time to beat your brother. He's a medical doctor and couldn't let him have the title doctor, let me be Miss. Darn tootin'. And then I actually realized I wanted to do it. It was like, oh, well, there you go. Well, at least you're already on the path then. Yeah, and I wish my boss would let me stream games instead. Hey, Omega. Maybe less call for that in a chancery, but, you know. We love a supportive church. We do. I'm just also sometimes flabbergasted by it. But it's really nice because I'm actually at a parish in New York. So I live with about 20 some odd of my priest brothers and that's good. I can make those back into bone blocks. And I'm connected to the parish, so I celebrate Mass there. I know the community. Oh, excuse me. So it's good to have that kind of sort of active role of my priesthood. Neighbors! Hey, let's go. Well, if you find yourself in the city, stop on by Church of St. Paul the Apostle. That's where I'm at. It's just off of Columbus Circle. You're on your lunch break, so you're just seeking a raid or two in this MMO. Nice. Fortunately, the carpet will also help prevent mobs from spawning. What am I building? I am building an opera house. So this is the lobby area of the opera house. And then headed up to the private boxes section. So you can see the orchestra seating, balcony, and the family circle, the private boxes, the stage. What's the difference between a Metropolitan Opera House and an Archbishop Opera House? I believe a Metropolitan outranks. If there's an Archbishop Opera House and a Metropolitan Opera House, does that mean that there's a Patriarchal Opera House? So are you gonna Don Giovanni? I wish I could sing opera. Actually, I really like opera. Just a couple weeks ago, I got to go see The Barber of Seville. Oh my gosh, that show is hilarious. No, no, Jeb, no! Jeb, no. Where's my wheat? I need some wheat to get Jeb back in the pen. Hi, Jeb. Where you think you're going, buddy? How did another one of you get out? I love you, sheep, but you have no brain cells. No, no one's allowed by the gate. No. Don't make me install an airlock. Hey, yeah, go celebrate with your family. It's a big day. It's a big accomplishment. You should. There. Now they can't surprise get out. And just like that, we are now out of the all the red dye we went to go find today. Okay, there was a second adventure I wanted to go on today because we're going to need more calcite. And the first place that I found calcite, the geode, is basically tapped out. But I discovered there is another geode I have, in fact, discovered and gotten into. This way? Nope. It's down in this ravine. Hey, I hope. We chose just a little violence today. The skeleton attacked us. Wait a minute. What's all this material? Oh! There's a geode right here near the surface. I legit did not know they could form this high. This is not the one I had in mind, but I'll take it. Well, I can guarantee you tomorrow when we're playing Link's Awakening, there are many monsters that will have to be felled. That should be enough. What does a sprinter eat before a race? Nothing. They fast! It's a good one. Okay, so how much taller is this? Okay, I just have to do one more layer. Nice. Gale coming in with the grammatical corrections. Shadowfort201, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Okay, that's all the calcite we need. I do have follower chat only on. It is a choice I have made. It helps protect against bots and other things, so. Currently building an opera house. Ow. So right now, we're in the lobby section here. Then if I take one of the multiple routes in. We can get into the stage and seating section. So we have the orchestra seating, balcony seating, and the boxes, and then the family seating. And then the stage area, there's the choir pit underneath. And then backstage. So, do I have a farm? Some. I have a sheep farm, a cow farm, I have a wheat farm. And Hope has redeemed a father joke. Why did Sherlock Holmes go to the Mexican restaurant? He heard he could get a case idea. Squirrel with a candy spin. Hey, Squirrel, good to see ya. When server started maybe a little over a year ago. No. What for, Kit? Oh, thank you for the 200 bits. Hey, I got a laugh out of the daughter. Let's go. That was so close to a Mega Sour. That's not even. Ooh. Mega rings also sound bad. They're covered in tahini. They are, and they've gone stale. Like I keep saying, they go stale, and then somehow they get more stale. I'm gonna break a tooth. Tahini's like it's a chili and lime powder. Very popular in Central American cultures. Oh. That's just hard to crunch on. Mmm. Honestly, it's like lost its mango flavor, and now it's all lime. Maybe if it was fresh. But it ain't. It's getting stuck in every tooth. And now it tastes of nothing? I don't like my candy tasting like nothing. It tastes like an existential crisis. Mwah. For Easter, my mother sent me a candy. I mean, she sent me a whole Easter basket, which was very generous of her. But she included in there a candy, and she's like, maybe this could go on the candy wheel. I opened it, and it was red bean paste candy. And I said, that's not going on the wheel. That's too good to wait for the wheel. It was quite good. I think we're going to have to go to the Nether soon. Right now I need more gravel and more quartz to really move forward. And quartz is only available in the Nether. The mango ring is still stuck in my teeth. I am cursed to be like this. I have an... I just realized. I'm giving an interview after this about the Papal Conclave. It's nothing too fancy. It's just a podcast within the parish that they produce. But I'm going to show up to that and still be like... Meop, meop. Well, you see the camera lingo. Not too familiar with Minecraft. So do enemies pop out random even if you're just building stuff? So enemies can only appear if a space is in total darkness, is flat, and is a certain distance from the player. So things can't like spawn right on top of you. But when it says flat, so like stairs, carpet, half slabs, those all protect you. And then there's certain rules for each kind of mob. So like you can actually set up different farms. Like I have one set up that's a creeper farm, so it's just only creepers are capable of spawning in there. And that's all that carpet. That was quick. Still, that's actually almost all the carpet we need. Because that section's almost done. Everything inside of those is done. And then I need to do this hallway. want to check something out mathematically. So if we do that and then space 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it's not enough. These are built in units of 5, so I could have a space of 1. So it wouldn't be quite even, but that's okay because it would line up with all of this. So maybe that's what we do. This section's a little more awkward. Because if I wanted to line up, I need to do it here. And that leaves it too wide there. I think that's fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. Prayer. Hey, Kit, what's your prayer intention? Sister broke her leg yesterday playing pickleball and will need surgery in a few weeks. Ooh. Absolutely. We'll keep your sister in my prayers, and that's you try to stay active and it backfires. No, it's still good that she was active, but it is unfortunate that she broke her leg, and keep her in our prayers. And so we'll pray. Gracious Lord, we ask that you be with Kit's sister this day, to be with her in her time of need and her time of healing, to be with all doctors and family who will be taking care of her in this time, to guide their hands, especially to help her in her healing, so that she may, so that her leg may be strong again, that she may walk, and she may come rejoicing in whole body. I ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. That is rough, though. Oh. Why didn't my Elytra work? She was backing up. See, don't back up. Don't back down. Okay, I think this is better. I still need to knock that out because it'll be striped. I guess. Yeah, and I guess to make it matched, I'll keep this plain white. So if you don't sleep, enemies can spawn. Yeah, so if you don't sleep anywhere that it's dark, and that's why I have torches like all over the place, is to help prevent things from spawning if I am ever caught outside. I'm going in for surgery for a week. My dermatologist said that mole wasn't cancerous, but was on its way, so I'm going to take even more flesh from you. Oh no. I mean, that's good that it wasn't cancerous, but also that's not the way I'd want it phrased. But hopefully that is a swift removal. Yeah, there is also the one enemy that spawns if you go 3 days without sleeping. But that's like whatever. In fact, I have never seen those in any of my playthroughs of Minecraft. I've seen them in videos, but that's it. Yeah, it's a more challenge. And also, the mobs, the enemies, some of them do drop things. So, like, the reason I have a creeper farm is they make TNT, or gunpowder, which you can use to make TNT and rockets. So you can... which are useful for flying around and other things. But it does add a level of challenge as well. But you can turn it off. Like, if you don't want to deal with it, you can set the world to peaceful, and no monsters will spawn. I chose to make this a not peaceful world, precisely because I want things like the gunpowder. It's like I have a pile of it right there. So if I take that, and then... where are all my scaffolding? There it is. So if I take that... we'll head back to the OG base. Where I have a sugarcane farm to help grow, to make for paper. So it's on the other side of the candy shop. Then we can make paper. And then we can make fireworks. And with fireworks and an elytra equipped, hello, orange. We can do this. Whee! So you can fly in perfectly vanilla Minecraft. It's actually a really nice way to get around. Let's take that off. Let's grab a golden helmet, because if you have something made of gold, the piglins will leave you alone. And we need to go to the Nether. That's what we're looking for. We're not going to go there, but that's what we're looking for. You secretly hid St. Paul Live Mass at work. Hey, so you saw me. I had the Mass today. It's like a bonus rotida. Wow! Bad boar. Leave me alone. Aw. Well, thank you, Mel. Oh, leave me alone. Thou art a silly pig. You have a channel for Mass? The parish does. The parish has a channel, or a YouTube channel, and we live stream 2 Sunday Masses out of the 5, and one of the 2 daily Masses every day. We actually have a really nice setup. We have a dedicated stream team. And we have 5 permanent cameras and 2 or 3 mobile ones that we can set up for different things if we need like different angles. Where can we see? If you go to stpaultheapostle.org. Or if you just go to YouTube and you search St. Paul the Apostle NYC, it should come up. That would be a bad hole to fall down. No more videos while working. Not even audiobooks, music only. Ugh. There you go. Brayherd's got the link for you. Pick up some of this while I'm here. Why not? There's so much of it. I already have some somewhere, but... Ah, no. Bad Bigus Pigus. You just put your phone face down. There you go. Just be careful turning it face up. Ow. That's why your brightness is at a minimum. Yeah, half a stack of quartz. That's why I hate quartz. And I have an enchantment on this pickaxe so that they'll drop more quartz. No! Don't make me turn you into bacon. Yeah, it's a family of pigs. I'm just gonna walk away. Alex Luau, thank you for the follow. Or Lua0, welcome to the channel. No? Chad, I'm not gonna lie, I might be a little lost. Why didn't my elite... Oh, I'm like, why didn't my elytra work? Oh, I didn't have my elytra turned on. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, no. Go to sleep. No. It was an accident. Yeah, I'm lost. I thought I knew where I was going. I thought I had a general sense of what direction I had turned and when. We'll find a way out. I figure so long as I stay in this biome, I know that I entered it from the portal area. So that limits, theoretically, I'm very good at finding holes. What am I looking for? The way home, currently. In general, looking for quartz, the white stuff here, so I can make quartz blocks like this. But at the present time, also just looking for the way I entered this area. No lamps on your right or left? Nope. Didn't do that. That would have been smart. Oh, shut up. I'm turning you into bacon. Hindsight something something. Well, I thought I knew where I was, and then it turned out I didn't, and it only got worse. I mean, technically I'm not lost yet, because I'm still exploring and finding more quartz, so... Technically... Just dig up. That doesn't work in the Nether, and you know it. I do not, in fact, actually know it. Oh, really? I figured you'd have known that. Yeah, the Nether... The top and bottom of the Nether is bedrock. So if I dig up, I eventually just hit bedrock. You can use beds to cheat your way out, and it's a good way to set up a gold farm. But, okay, we're gonna try option 1. So we're looking for a cobblestone staircase. There it is. So I probably just got, like, looped around at some point. And wound up kind of in the maze. Away some raw ham. It'll never go bad. We made really good progress on the Opera House today, though. We completed... Oh, that was a glitch. We've completed the walls for the first floor and most of the second. We're almost done on the other side. We just have, like, one little section left. And then we just need the third floor. Yeah, we have that one little section to do. Then we need to do the third floor, and then we can move on to the roof. So we're actually getting really close. Do I have any other quartz lying around? No. But we brought home actually an even 100 pieces of quartz. It's kind of neat. But I think that's where we're going to call it for the day. So we have more resources. We'll keep working on this. I'll try to get more white concrete in between like I always do. And yeah, I think that's going to be everything. So thanks so much for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with y'all today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Join us again tomorrow for Throwback Thursday. We're going to be starting... what are we starting? I was just talking about it. Link's Awakening. I should have said Link's Awakening. Monday, we're going to wrap up Mario RPG. Tuesday, we're going to keep playing Wildmender, and then more midweek Minecraft. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you to everyone who's liked, followed, subscribed, given bits. Checked out the YouTube, checked out the Discord, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And let's see who's live that we can raid into. I'm gonna send you over to Faithulu. She's also playing some Minecraft. I think I did this last week, but oh well. Faithulu's a fun person. So raid call is gonna be Father Raid as usual. And again, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care and God bless.